Good evening, Miss Marez. My name is Claire. I'm going to be giving my speech tonight. But first, I'd like to introduce my audience. I have my wonderful mother and my wonderful boyfriend, Caleb, mom. They'll be joining me this evening for my speech. So, welcome, guys. Thank you so much for supporting me. I always appreciate it. Thank you. Tonight, I'm going to be presenting on how to brew the perfect brew. Like millions of people all over the world, I start my day every day way before the sun rises. And usually it's like peeling myself out of bed. I rise out of my bed like the dead from a crypt. It takes all of my strength just to stumble through the dark house and come down and start making my pot of coffee for the day. It's a ritual and one that I really look forward to every day. And part of that is grinding my coffee beans. And with that, as I'm grinding, the aroma of the coffee kind of awakens my senses, calling back life to my body. And once it starts brewing, it starts going throughout the entire house, which is awesome. And that also awakens my senses. And I just can't wait till I fit that pot of coffee finishes so that I can enjoy my fresh cup of coffee outside and watch the rest of the world wake up with me with the sunrise and the birds singing their morning song. There's nothing better. I think everybody deserves to start their day the right way with a perfect cup of coffee. And today I'm going to be discussing how you can do that at home, like how many people spend their money every day on a cup of coffee. And as a barista working at Starbucks, I found that a lot of people do wish that they had this ability to make a perfect cup of coffee at home. They don't want to spend the money every day, but they're intimidated because they don't know how to go about it, and they may not know the right brewing method for themselves. So they just rely on corporate America to provide it. No longer. Today, I'm going to tell you how you can enjoy that experience of a coffee shop at home by yourself and you prepare it by yourself. It's such an incredible feeling. And then you can share it with your friends as well. For brewing the perfect cup of coffee at home, it's imperative that you follow a set of golden rules. And these rules are simple enough to follow. And remember that every time you brew this cup of coffee at home, it's going to be perfect. These three golden rules are as follows. Proportion. Proportion relates to the ratio of water to coffee for your cup. And this is going to be universal for whatever you're brewing, whether that be your classic coffee brewer, your pour over, or your French press. 2 tablespoons per 6 ounces of water, clear cut, follow that recipe. You can't go wrong with your cup. Of course, you can adjust that as needed for your individual basis preference. The next important thing to remember is your grind. Your filter is going to determine the grind that you're going to use. A coarse grind is going to be one that you use for your French press. A medium coarse grind is what you're going to use for your drip or your classic coffee brewer. And also the medium coarse grind is what you're going to be using for your pour over. These are standards that are set by the National Coffee Association in the United States and something that Starbucks follows as well. The last thing that you should always consider when brewing at-home coffee is the quality of your water. Now, while filtered is preferred and it is what is used at most establishments, tap water is just fine. Just be sure if you're using tap water that you avoid anything that smells like sulfur or has an iron smell to it. That's actually going to impact the flavor of your coffee. But once you have those 3 steps, you can use any coffee to brew at home. The first method of coffee brewing we're going to discuss is our classic coffee brewer method. This is great for individuals or if you're going to be hosting like a small or a large gathering of people. You get a lot of coffee all at once. This the same standard, 2 tablespoons per 6 ounces. That can get kind of hard to calculate. So one of the best ways to do this would be just grab 8 cups of coffee. If you want to make 8 cups of coffee, you grab 8 cups of water and 1 cup of coffee. And that will be pretty much equivalent to that ratio, 2 tablespoons per 6 ounces. For the grind, a flat bottom filter is going to be standard for most machines, and that is where you use your medium grind. It's going to be about the texture of a coarse sea salt. The next is a cone-shaped filter, and this is going to be a fine grind. And that's just going to determine how long your coffee is in contact with the oils of the coffee, so how strong your coffee is going to be. If it's exposed too long, you're going to have a very bitter tasting coffee. If it's not exposed long enough, it's going to be very watery and not very enjoyable. Best to make it stronger because you can bring it down by adding hot water to it and making it a little bit more enjoyable. Whereas there's really no fix for a weak cup of coffee. So better to be stronger and dilute it than make it too weak to begin with. This preparation takes about 5 minutes from the time you start it. That includes grinding your beans fresh in the morning to the end product, which is great for convenience. And especially if you have a large group and they're waiting for their coffee, best, so much faster than a Keurig, guys. Don't rely on a Keurig. The next brewing method I'll be discussing is our French press. French press is great for people who want to elevate their coffee experience. One of the most notable thing about a fresh press is you don't need a filter. When you don't use a filter, you're actually keeping the natural oils in with the coffee, so it's going to develop a richer coffee flavor. Filters will actually trap those oils and not allow them to go through like your pour over or your coffee brewer. It's just a wonderful way to experience those flavors. Unlike this, it still follows the standard 2 tablespoons per 6 ounces of water. When you add your grinds, it should come up to about this setting here. You add your water and you let your coffee bloom for just a moment or two to allow those oils to really seep in. And then you add the rest of your you add the rest of your water. And you let that sit for 4 minutes. Once your timer goes off, it's best to use a timer. You plunge the fat all the way down, and then you pour and you have a great fresh cup of coffee. You want to enjoy that immediately though, because it does expire rather quickly. The last method I'll be discussing this evening is going to be our pour over. The best way to do your pour over is to make sure that you boil your water first, just off a rolling boil, about 200 degrees. Then you want to rinse your filter. When you rinse your filter, this provides a removal of any particles or any unwanted flavors. And then you would put your grinds, and then again, the hot water for about a minute, you let it bloom, 10 seconds with the pour over, you let it bloom, and then you add the rest of your water in a slow, steady, circular motion. After that's done, you can enjoy it immediately. This option is great for people that have a busy morning that just need one individual cup of coffee. It's more convenient than stopping off at your local shop. So this evening, I've discussed with you the best ways to prepare your coffee at home with 3 different brewing methods and the 3 golden rules that everyone should follow when brewing their method. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to try this at home today. Try a new method of brewing. Conquer a new skill in the art of coffee making. Connect with friends or yourself over your next cup of caffeinated goodness. And if you need any reminders on how to make your perfect cup of coffee, please visit www.starbucks.com or www.nationalcoffeeassociationusa.com, and you'll find all of these brewing methods plus more other tips that will help you create that perfect brew at home. Thank you guys so much for joining me this evening. It's been such a pleasure, and until next time.